The RPG genre as of recent years has had a tragically mixed relationship with gamers, especially in regards to large-scale titles. Starfield completely forgot what it even means to be an RPG, Diablo 4 was barely able to maintain its player base after alienating them with excessive microtransactions, and Cyberpunk 2077, whilst being a good game, launched a complete disaster to the point that it was pulled from online stores. But then you've got games like Baldur's Gate 3, a game that reminded all of us of what a true RPG is supposed to be, which leaves us with one question. Where the hell does Dragon's Dogma 2 land in all of this? Dragon's Dogma, despite being a fantasy RPG with only a single game in its catalog, has managed to develop such a colossal amount of hype that I honestly wasn't sure if its sequel was going to stick the landing, with the obvious answer now being that it absolutely. So join me on another adventure as I take a critical look at Dragon's Dogma 2, and whilst doing so, I'm going to be taking us to some place familiar to see if we can find an upgrade or two. Let us gear up and head out. Is it? There is a lot that RPGs need to accomplish to be considered good. Fun combat, interesting characters, a world worth exploring. But none of that really matters if you can't hook players with your opening. Dragon's Dogma 2 does a fantastic job at grabbing a player's attention with its opening. It invokes a mystery around its mythology that not a lot of sequels are capable of. Its cutscenes radiate charm, and they never drag themselves out too long without handing control back to the player. Anything that does not need to be said is shown, and in showing always allows you to be the one doing the thing, instead of the game doing that thing at you. Dragon's Dogma 2's opening does not struggle to grip a player's attention. What it does fail to do is hold onto it. The game opens with visions of things to be, a foreshadowing of the player's valiant ascent throughout the game.
At last, we may celebrate the coming of our rightful ruler. The return of the sovereign.
Only to be interrupted by a voice tasking the player with throwing aside thy reason and tempting the rivers of fate. This voice has invoked a challenge that to the player character remains a mystery.
The reason. If thou seekest to behold this world in its true aspect, abandon thy reason. Cast aside thine heart and thy life both. I ask thee to demonstrate thy will, for naught but thine ambition can alter the course of the rivers of fate.
However, things seem to take a turn as this challenge seems to have faded from your mind and you awaken in a cell with no memory of who you once were. This is where you get to create your character, and let's just get this out of the way, fellas. He's literally me. I do want to show some appreciation here. The simple act of opening your game by showing the player that you can rise to royalty, only to throw the player into an enslavement camp, is pretty genius. I don't want to drag things out by talking about the opening too much here, as my problem isn't really with the opening itself, it's what comes directly after it. So if I'm skipping a few beats here and there, don't worry, we will bring them up later in the video. A monster attacks, you get your first taste of blood, and a mysterious being speaks of your destiny. Where? I don't remember who I am. Shut the fuck up and go manifest some destiny. Wait, no, not that destiny, please. Don't make me do a video on the final shape, no. A griffin flies you to the mainland. Your companion dies, but don't worry, I don't stay dead. Go to a rift stone and you can either bring me back or pick out some even cooler companions. You open the rift, create your main companion, and this is where the game truly begins. We will dive into them a little deeper later on, but your companions are known as pawns, humanoid-like beings that travel the threads of fate to cross over to different worlds in order to serve the Arisen. And this is where things get very interesting. The only person capable of opening the rift is the Arisen, but the guards that brought you to their encampment inform you that the Arisen has already been found and is resting back at the capital city. They explain to you that the Arisen is a destined being that pops up every few decades, maybe a few centuries, who by decreed law is meant to be the ruler of all the lands, with a form of consort holding the title of king during the bridging years where there is no Arisen present. There can only ever be one Arisen. But how is that possible if the Arisen has already been found, but you lay undiscovered? In the span of 20 minutes, the game has not only envisioned you with a destiny, told you that you are fated to become the king, but that both promises have been handed to another. Is this the work of a dark cabal risking everything to keep the throne from you? Or have the rivers of fate been damaged for the first time, and now there are two destined to take up the mantle? What an interesting premise. The campaign is going to be an unraveling mystery of not only finding out who you are, who took your memories, but who the second Arisen really is. Such a mystery will hold my intrigue throughout the game. My destiny has been stolen, desecrated, and I and you will not stand for it. As you head to the main city, you'll stop by the town of Melv, a town that was said to be destroyed by a dragon, and also happens to be where the second Arisen was found. So you head there, and you are struck with the memory of what really happened to you before you woke up in your cell. I explained that the Arisen holds not only the title of king, but also holds a distinct destiny. This destiny will be that of slaying the Royce dragon. The Arisen is chosen by the dragon itself when the dragon identifies a being of worthy valor. The dragon steals one's heart, and from there on, the Arisen and the dragon become linked.
This moment forth, thou art arisen. Charge and all.
To reclaim your heart, you must kill the dragon, save the world from its wrath, and take your rightful place as the sovereign. Now, how does this work if there is a second Arisen? That's the great part. You don't know. So let's keep playing the game to find out. Did the dragon find someone more worthy after you? Has someone forced the dragon's hand into stealing their heart as well? If you've played the first game, you know there can only be one Arisen at any given time. So is this what makes the sequel so distinct from its predecessor? Oh boy, I sure hope this game is able to maintain its exciting mysteries and allows us to discover the truth in a meaningful and organic manner that doesn't ruin everything by being scared to allow the player to ponder over what really happened in order to discover I apologize this is taking too long. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with all of this, okay? Through your skills in combat, your ability to summon pawns, and the scars that remain present after the dragon's attack, you've convinced the soldiers that found you that you are the Arisen. Despite their confusion on how this is even possible, they take you to the city of Vernworth, where the other Arisen rests after trying to take on the dragon. But before you are able to discover more, Captain Brant stops you at the gate.
There can only be one Arisen. That Arisen now resides within the palace. Indeed, he is our sovereign and the rightful ruler of Vermont. It follows, therefore, that this ruffian before us is naught but a pretender.
It's shown in the opening vision that Captain Brant is a sovereign loyalist and is dedicated to serving the Arisen by any means. And understandably, he refuses you entry. And despite the guards vouching for your nobility, he flat out refuses to listen and takes you as a prisoner to interrogate you. This is brilliant. Through questing and interactions with Brant, I'm going to be able to prove to him I'm the true Arisen and that something sinister is afoot. If I can manage to convince the captain of the Royal Guard that I'm the true Arisen, I'll have a powerful ally that will try to help me unfold this mystery. Oh, this is gonna be awesome!
You, and no other, are the sovereign, the only legitimate ruler of this kingdom.
Huh? Captain Brandt will now proceed to destroy all mystery behind the plot and will over-explain the story to catch you up to speed. Remember at the beginning of this segment where I said anything not said is shown? I misspoke. What I meant to say is anything that doesn't need to be said, fuck you!
Then you have truly lost your memory? In that case, mayhap I ought to explain the situation before we proceed.
Oh, you haven't played Dragon's Dogma 2 yet? Perhaps I better remove all agency before we proceed. Confused on how there are two Arisens? Nah, it's just a fake. Wondering why you don't remember anything about the dragon? That's because you were cursed by the queen, silly. How did you land yourself in the mines? She sold you into slavery because no mortal can kill the true Arisen. Why would the queen do all this? Because she wants to remain queen and have her son become the king. That can't happen if you become the sovereign. Wondering where the hell the game goes from here? Don't worry, we'll get to that real soon! The game is no longer about the mystery of what happened to you and the potentially altered state of the dragon cycle. Your new mission is simply to prove to the people of this land that you are the true Arisen, which would still hold some kind of intrigue if every single NPC you walk up to in the open world didn't just assume that you are the true Arisen. I just got here, and every NPC in the world that bears mention of the Arisen outside of guards knows that you are the true Arisen. You, and only you, could just walk into the throne room, sit your ass down on the throne, and this plot line would be over. What's the queen gonna do? Kill you? It's already been established that they can't do that. Brandt can turn the guards over to your side because he's the commanding officer. So where's the game here? This plot of stealing your place on the throne only makes up half of the game's main storyline. But when you open your game with fascination and grip the player with a good old, your character has amnesia, the thrill of not knowing things is, you know, to eventually know things again. Ever heard the term of unraveling? Stories are meant to do that. A story is meant to unravel organically, not be dumped at your feet in an act of self-sabotage. Thanks, Brandt. Glad you cleared up the mystery of the game 2 hours into its runtime. Would have hated to enjoy any of this. And what's worse, the game's going to gaslight you later into thinking there's another mystery. But let's not jump the gun here. While yes, the opening aspect of the story disembowels itself, make no mistake that the game still does an impeccable job at preparing you for what you should be playing this game for. Fighting monsters, exploring dungeons, and engrossing yourself in this beautiful world. We will be jumping back into the story later in this video, but for now, let's take a look at what else this game has to offer. Found you. Openings grab a player's attention. It makes them excited to keep playing your game, but maintaining that attention is another challenge in of itself. And what better way to keep a player engaged than giving them stuff to do in their own time? During my early hours of Dragon's Dogma 2, I had a lot of issues with the general feel of the game. The fast travel was frustratingly obnoxious, the save system was idiotic at best, and the general flow of the open world had me agitated. Dragon's Dogma 2 might be the first game I've ever played, which made me hate the way it forced you to explore the open world, making me realize and understand why it's designed that way, and just hours later, train me into loving it. There are a lot of problems people have with this game's exploration, and while I would normally go into one of these segments with my own astute observation, I'm going to try and offer 3 perspectives. Why people don't like a thing, why the thing is designed that way, and then I'll jump in with my own opinions, and some things I'll agree with and some things I won't. Let's start with the fast travel. I'm not going to sit here and baby you. You know what fast travel is. I want to go place, click, I am at place. If you want to be somewhere, fast travel is how you get there if you've already discovered said location. Dragon's Dogma 2 has a very different approach to how you find yourself zipping around the map, and it's to smash that zip into a million pieces, strap those pieces onto your feet, and make you walk yourself to your destination. There are 4 means of travel in Dragon's Dogma 2. You can walk, you can elevate, you can cart, and you can fairy stone. Walking is when you put one foot in front of the other, which moves you in a general direction. Put enough feet in front of each each other, and you will end up going from one place to another. For some of you, this might sound like I'm being patronizing, but keep in mind that Americans make up half of my viewers, so take that as you will. Walking sees you manually traversing the map. Using elevators has you linearly traversing the map, but somehow slower. Ox carts see you traveling to a small selection of destinations on the map where you'll find yourself walking the rest of the way, and fairy stones is fast travel. But Zenny, why wouldn't you just use the fairy stone? Because it's fairy stones, not fairy stone. Fairy stones are a single-use resource that are very rare and can only fast travel you to locations with a port crystal, forcing you to, once again, walk the rest of the way. Sometimes you just want to be where you want to be, and it's just as simple as that. If you've already explored a section of the map and you're forced into walking between large chunks of that map that don't offer the option of an ox cart, you're going to get annoyed very fast. In regards to the lack of fast travel, the director of the game states that it's only an issue because your game is boring. All you have to do is make travel fun, which I genuinely think is a smart observation. Filling your world with fantastical monsters, dungeons, and collectibles does make for a thrilling stroll. But what happens if you've already explored an area beforehand and you have to consistently walk through said area on repeat due to the lack of fast travel? It doesn't matter how many monsters you put in my way, eventually that's going to get annoying. Some people just don't like the lack of fast travel due to the tedium of its repetitive nature, and even when some form of fast travel is available, it doesn't even make the game better. It honestly just wastes your time. There is a quest at the checkpoint rest town where you need to find an orb. This quest is thrust upon you the second that you arrive at this location. You arrived here by ox cart, and midway through your journey you were attacked by a cyclops, but I'm sure that doesn't matter. Anyway, if you have a pawn with you who has knowledge of this quest, they will inform you that there is a guy who knows a guy who has the orb, and that first guy is back at Vernsworth, the city that you just ox carted from to get here. Well, now that it's midday and that ox cart isn't offering a ride, you need to enter a small loading screen to wait a whole day in order to ride the ox cart back to Vernsworth. You pay the man, you get on the ox cart, close your eyes, and now you're on the way to Vernsworth. Oh wait, there's a cyclops attacking the cart again. You kill it, you get back on the ox cart, and now you're back at Vernsworth. You go to the dungeon to talk to a guy, and he tells you that the guy who knows where the orb is back at the checkpoint rest town. Okay, you go back to get back on the ox cart, but he isn't offering rides right now because it's midday. So you go through a loading screen, you pay the man, you get on the ox cart, and now you're back at the checkpoint rest town. Did I just say you're back at the checkpoint rest town? What I really meant to say is a cyclops just interrupted your ox cart. Twice. You get back to the checkpoint rest town, you find the guy who has the orb, and now you can continue the rest of the quest in the town. To simply find an object for a quest, I've had to fight 4 cyclops and go through 6 loading screens. Now you can argue that this is good game design. The pursuit of a simple item has thrown you on a grand adventure, but fighting 4 of the same boss, a boss that isn't even particularly hard, it's not fun, it's time consuming. Keep the guy who knows a guy in the town or nearby within walking distance and all of this tedious shit goes away. And I know this bullshit with the ox cart traversal isn't a real adventure because I've seen what a good lack of fast travel system can do for this game, and this is not it. I've now shown you what a lack of fast travel does poorly. The tedium of either walking or ox carting through areas you've already explored is frustrating, but surely this isn't what the developers intended. I'm about to do something here to demonstrate how the exploration is supposed to work and how a lack of a refined fast travel system complements it. So let's see how fast you can catch on. You first arrive in Vernsworth after discovering you are the true Arisen. A normal player is going to see an open hub area, see the smelly rags on your back, and is instantly going to want to get better gear. So you walk up to the only weapons and armor dealers in the town and you'll notice a fella talking to himself near all of the gear you can barely afford. This is Glindor, the first elf that you've seen thus far. If you talk to him, he briefly talks about his fascination with human bows and how he could never buy one as it would be unseemly for an elf to do such a thing.
Yes? I possess no ill intent, I assure you. I merely wished for a closer look at these bows. Those of other races differ so in design from our own, you see. I cannot deny I am curious about them. That's all 'tis, mind. Curiosity. I have no desire to actually own one of these contraptions myself, and even if I did, it isn't as if I could purchase one. It would be unseemly for an elf to aspire to such a thing, no matter how they fascinate me. It isn't to be.
His curiosity for a human bow has his dialogue swinging back and forth between this fascination for such a contraption to his insistence that he doesn't want one. If you buy one for him, he will go on to explain that he's been seen as a failure in the art of archery and has yet to complete his trial of archery. His hope is that with human bows being so distinct from elven bows, maybe this bow will suit him better. He invites you to join him deep in the forest to help him train for this trial. If you go to the minimap, his quest icon appears next door to the town of Melv, and Melv has a fast travel ox cart, one of the only 2 ox cart fast travel points in this entire region of the map. So you travel to Melv, you go to the quest checkpoint, and oh! Shit! The map has lied to you. This is no longer a quick way to getting to the quest. You are now stranded in Melv. It's too early in the game for you to have a fairy stone to fast travel with, and even if you did have one, you've likely not actually walked up to the port crystal in Vernworth because you walked up to the blacksmiths first. Your only option in order to get to this quest now is to walk around the entire mountain. Keep in mind as well, to help Glyndor with his archery, you swapped your main vocation to archery just so you could quickly complete this quest. Great! I'm stuck playing a class I don't want to play and I have to walk half the map's distance to get anywhere near the quest location. You'd think this is Bird, but you haven't explored any of the map yet. Everything is new. This journey, while feeling bullshit to start with, will end up being your first taste of what Dragon's Dogma 2 is all about. By the time I had actually made it to Glyndor, I'd leveled up 7 times, almost maxed out the archery skill vocation, explored 4 dungeons, fought 3 different types of monster that I had yet to discover, and added 2 more quests to my list of things to do. I finally make it to Glyndor and I help him with his archery. By the time you even get to him, you're basically a master in archery anyway, so he thanks you for your time and you are rewarded. But in teaching him how to fire the bow, you noticed a chest up on that ledge. Naturally, you like chests. They're full of cool shit. Naturally, you go to climb to get it, only to realize that you can't, so you scan around and oh, you notice a bridge going into the ruins and another bridge leading into said ruins. So you walk up, kill some bandits, cross the broken bridge and oh, shit. I can't get across here. Oh, come on, there's gotta be another way up. Oh, look, there's another path going into the mountain. I wonder if that will lead into the ruins. Wait, damn it, it doesn't. But hey, there's a ledge over there. Maybe that'll be a lead. Oh shit, it's a dungeon. I've completed the dungeon and wow, is this a new biome? This is completely different to the rest of the forest I was in. And oh hey, is that a chest? Oh sweet, and oh, that's the ruins I wanted to go into. And there's the chest I wanted. What was that strange forest I just discovered back there? I best check it out. Oh sweet, there's actually a staircase that leads up into that forest. I best head up there and wait, I haven't seen that monster type before. What the hell was that? You best check it out later. This forest is the home of the elves. This is where Glyndor lives. This is so cool. And they have armor that matches their culture. I'm an archer. I can buy this stuff. Oh, it's a shame that they don't sell a fairy stone. I could have fast traveled out of here. But hold on, what was that creature I saw before? Let's see if it's still there. Holy shit, it's a chimera. Holy shit, this is awesome. Did you see what just happened? I've gone on such a magical adventure that I've lost track on why I was even out here. I came here to teach a guy to shoot a bow, and due to the lack of fast travel, I've fought monsters, found new gear, maxed out my new vocation, battled in dungeons, explored intricate ruins, discovered an entire culture, and used that culture's armament to battle the strongest enemy I've discovered thus far. If I was able to fast travel to that quest, I would have given a man a bow, shown him how to shoot it, and I would have left. Dragon's Dogma 2 is designed in a way that if it can get you exploring its gorgeous world, if not for just 15 minutes, you will lose yourself in a world designed to be discovered. Everything is interlocked and is built from the ground up that just before you're done exploring what you just discovered, you've discovered something new. If that elven village actually had a fairy stone for me to fast travel back to Vernworth, I don't think I would have used it anyway. In the pursuit of an easy path ahead, the game has taught you that you don't want an easy way out. You don't want fast travel to be convenient. You want fast travel to be a signatured end of an incredible adventure, to wrap everything up after hours and hours of gameplay. If fast travel was easy, enjoying the game would end up being hard. But in the game making fast travel hard, enjoying the game becomes easy. And let's not kid ourselves here. Even if you want to fast travel because you've already explored areas, fairy stones are pretty manageable and are always on hand. You can practically buy fairy stones at every major town and merchant, with them being locked away at a staggering 10,000 gold each. Naturally, at the start of the game, you don't have that kind of coin on you, so the game forces you into exploring and enjoying the world that remains untouched. And for players that have explored large chunks of the map, they now have plenty of gold from exploring to buy fairy stones for when they would need them most. Yes, the game uses fairy stones as a means of gatekeeping fast traveling from you, but it's always to make sure that you are exploring and adventuring in a manner that better helps the player later on. You'll also find portable port crystals around the map. These are makeshift fast travel points for the player to decide where they want them most. So as you explore the world, not only is the game offering players the means to buy fast travel, but also allows players the choice of where players feel they need the ease of travel the most. Did you know that this segment is like 4,500 words? Fuck, love water. Hey, go donate to the Patreon. All right, I've praised up the fast travel system enough. How about we talk about something that this game does poorly? Naturally, completing quests will reward you, but you'll notice very early in the game that most quest rewards bog down to 3 things: gold, rift currency, and rings. Gold can be used to buy anything, so that's neat. Rift currency allows you to hire other people's pawns that are higher level, which is never necessary, so that's pointless. And rings offer such small buffs that if you weren't looking at the stat sheet, you'd hardly even tell that you were wearing one. But why is this the case? Why does the game rarely reward you with something cool like a helmet or a chest piece? Well, would you believe that this is by design? And unlike the fast travel we just spoke about, this choice is a stupid one. We will dive deeper into what vocations are later, but to put it simply, vocations are the choice of weapon you specialize with and what abilities you have with that weapon. Each weapon type has its own vocation, and it's because of these vocations the rewards are so shit. Actually, no, that's a lie. It's not the vocations themselves dulling the rewards, it's the armor restrictions that the devs attach to the vocations for no reason. Armor sets can only be worn by specific vocations. Archers can't wear lumbering plate mail, warriors can't wear robes, fighters can't wear leather, but what's worse is you cannot pick what you want to look like in an RPG. It is insulting that whilst playing as a warrior, you can walk up to any blacksmith that is selling like 15 armor sets, and 9 times out of 10, you'll only be able to wear one of them. Instead of the game having armor apply linear pros and cons depending on what you wear, the game flat out locks you out of dressing the way that you would like. If you see an armored chestplate that looks cool, you have to swap to an entirely different gameplay system in order to look the way you want. And in doing so, you now don't get to fight the way you want to. I love roleplay games that promise me the freedom of choice. My favorite part of them is not getting to pick the role I want to play and it taking the freedom away from me. And what's worse is some armor sets will only allow you to wear half of it, which may sound confusing, but allow me to say it again with some visuals. The game is set up that some vocations can wear full armor sets, most cannot wear them at all, and a small select bunch can only wear half of an armor set. Oh man, these legs look really cool. And it even has a chest piece that matches it. Oh, and it says a thief can wear these legs. Oh cool, let me swap over to a thief and buy both. Oh, these legs look awesome. And oh, you can't wear that chest piece because What? It is one thing to lock armor sets behind specific vocations. It is another thing to lock half an armor set away because, wait, what's the reason? There isn't one. They just chose to do this. You can't make the argument that the character's animations might not mix very well with armor types, especially with the particular vocation attacks, because nearing the last third of the game, you can unlock a vocation that allows you to wear any armor set with any weapon to go along with all of the abilities. Wait, hold on a second. Why are you locking the ability to dress the way I want behind a vocation that you get near the end of the game? Devil's advocate here. I guess this is a cool reward, but being allowed to play the game the way you want for only the last third of its runtime is dumb. It's not even like this vocation is good, because despite allowing you to wear any armor with any weapon and use any ability, if you unlocked mastery skills by doing side quests for particular characters, those skill sets are locked out of this vocation. If you worked hard to master archery, you can't look the way you want and do the best archery that you worked for. So even if you are fine with this shit, you are now being punished for wanting that drip. And this is why rewards are so underwhelming. The game knows it can't reward you with cool new swords after a quest because you might be an archer. It cannot offer you a new cool pair of pants because your legs don't work properly. If the game offered you weapons or armor as a reward, there's only a 10% chance you'll even be able to wear the damn shit or even use the damn stuff. So instead, it's gold, rift currency, or rings. Why rings? It's because the devs knew they'd be pushing it if they fucking made rings that were class specific. Sorry, King, those aren't the right fingies. And even when the game does branch out and rewards you with other things, it's just underwhelming. There is a really cool questline called Game of Wits. If you are off exploring the world, there is a chance you'll bump into the Sphinx, a creature who, if you complete her riddles, will reward you with a chest per riddle you solve. This is arguably one of the best questlines in the game if you like solving puzzles. Alright, let's check out the first riddle, the Riddle of Eyes.
Our eyes are our allies. Yet oft do they betray, for eyes tell lies. So I advise, and thence do lead astray. Yet, how will your eyes advise you? Venture through yonder door, and retrieve that which is of greatest value.
Heading into the dungeon, you'll be met with many chests. Opening said chests will result in rotten food. Ew. The riddle insists that your eyes will betray you. The end of the dungeon offers you nothing of value and offers you a shortcut back to the beginning of the dungeon. But if you observe the dungeon from another perspective, say from the end to the beginning, you'll see one last chest above the door. Hand the Sphinx the vial that you found in the chest and you will be rewarded. Oh, that's awesome! So you open the chest and it's a Wakestone fragment. Well, I guess the ability to resurrect during battle is kind of cool. Would have been nice if she gave me the other two parts so I could actually use it. Alright, what about the Riddle of Wisdom?
The parent knows the child, yet the reverse is far from true. The child knows not the parent. Such is the parent's due. I am a lost child, for kinship do I yearn. So bring to me my parent, that I might better learn.
To complete this riddle, you'll have to make your way to a Grand Riftstone, look up a pawn with the moniker of Sphinx Parent, and present that pawn to the Sphinx. And
you claim this to be the parent I seek. Indeed, you are correct. All is in the name. You have proven your wits, and so I shall bestow upon you a prize. Collect it from yon chest at your leisure.
oh man, that was awesome. The game kind of teases you throughout the game into kind of knowing the answer. That's pretty cool. You know, it cost me a chunk of Rift currency to even afford a pawn with that name, but now that I've completed the riddle, at least I'm getting a reward. It just gave me Rift currency to refund me the amount I almost spent. What about the Riddle of Rumination?
Is ever the first we keep fond in our breast, and ever the first that eclipses the rest. You know of the Seeker's tokens, I trust. Those keepsakes of a fondly remembered journey. Yet where was it that you found your first? Retrace your steps if you can. You might make a new discovery.
Oh, that's awesome! I've got 7 days to find where I found my first collectible. After 5 days, I was able to find it. I had to use so many fairy stones traveling around the place in order to find it, but at least I found it. Alright, I've given her the Seeker's token, she's offered me a chest, and... oh boy! Some fairy stones! That's almost a third of the amount that I've used to complete these damn riddles! Every single reward, bar one from the Sphinx, will end up being boring, useless, or just a reimbursement of what you used to complete the riddles in the first place. Oh boy, 100,000 gold? That's almost enough to buy a single armor set! That I can't wear! I mean, she does give you a port crystal, which comes in great use when it comes to fast traveling back to her to earn rewards that I don't give a fuck about. By locking armor and weapons behind vocations, the game has basically made questing for gear pointless, as you are only going to find something that you can actually use 10% of the time. And it's not like questing is boring or anything. Gold does allow you to buy things that you can use, but there really isn't anything like the sensation of earning a helmet that you cannot buy. Quest rewards in Dragon's Dogma 2, outside of a handful of exceptions, will always end up letting you down, with gold being your only real outlet for satisfaction. And with 90% of the gear being locked behind your skill set, gold also just ends up losing its value. Alright, well, I beat all the Sphinx riddles. Time to beat her ass and take that key around her neck and unlock the big juicy chest. She does say that she will be waiting here for the next person to do her riddles. I best go buy a new weapon. I can't imagine this fight's gonna be easy, so it... oh. Wait, where is she going? Hey, wait a minute. Oh, I was supposed to kill her now? How was I supposed to know that was my only window to attack without looking at the wiki first? I mean, that's alright. The game saved before she flew away, so I'll just load that save and... No. Save files. Saving in this game fucking sucks. The game doesn't allow you to have save slots through the menu. Saving demands that you either close your game or sleep, and even then you cannot load back to previous rests. You only ever have one save slot, and that is when you rest at an inn, which costs you money. And when you sleep in an inn again, it wipes that old save and makes a new one. I have now lost out on unlocking the big chest the quest has been hyping up this entire time. What you're meant to actually do is predict that this was going to happen, sleep at an inn, then come here, then complete the last riddle so that if you happen to fuck up killing her, you can load back. But I didn't look up the wiki because I wanted to do the riddles myself. What is up with this game making the simplest of tasks a waste of time? If saving in your game isn't a matter of pausing, clicking a single button, then I'm sorry, but you've made your game wrong. I understand sometimes you want there to be some interesting mechanic to saving, okay? But I'm sorry, your game is not special enough to make me walk halfway across the map to spend my money to sleep so that I can fuck off back to where I was just to save to make sure I don't do the wrong thing. And if I do the wrong thing, loading back requires me to walk there again? You know what happens when you remove the ability to make save slots during important parts of the game? Most people don't spend another 60 hours on another playthrough just to see a different outcome. They go watch it on YouTube. Dragon's Dogma 2 has such a beautiful world to explore, designed perfectly for the ground up for it to be a magical land worth exploring. The first time. Once I've discovered a hill, I don't want to see that hill every 5 minutes just to explore a new hill. Once I've earned my 19th allotment of gold, I'm kind of hungry for a shoulder pad. And when I want to make a save for my own convenience sake, I don't want to close the game, find a campsite, or spend $8,000 at an inn on the other side of the map. Capcom, your game is good. Really, really good. You don't have to be scared. We're going to want to explore this world. I have so much respect for the way that you've designed your world, but there has to be a middle ground here between this and what other games do. Please don't mistaken me for wanting every single game to be like Skyrim, okay? I don't. Instead of locking fast travel around fairy stones, make it that fast travel is locked to the port crystals, allowing us to place down very, very rare fast travel points that don't need a fairy stone to activate. There are only like 6 in the game. It's not going to kill you. Not only will players be rewarded with a choice, but there also won't be so much walking removed from your game. Arguably, fairy stones being purchasable makes there be less exploring for those that are too lazy and are willing to spend the gold. The port crystal system works better because now you can fast travel freely and there's more walking to discover the small elements of the map that you might have missed. Maybe don't lock armor sets behind vocations. Allow there to be powerful buffs for if the armor you're wearing matches up with its designated vocation, allowing players that want to wear whatever they want the thrill, whilst also rewarding players who try to match up their roles with their gear. And maybe when it comes to save files, just, you know, add them. Alright, enough about exploring the world. It's time to talk about exploring monsters' insides. I've never been too good when it comes to talking about combat in video games. It's kind of hard to convey the thrill of the kill when you watching aren't playing the game for yourself. The gameplay of Dragon's Dogma 2 is phenomenal. It's amazing. No notes. Let's talk about the story. I'm just playing. There really isn't anything you can complain about. Everything that you could say is wrong about the combat itself is just a nitpick. Dragon's Dogma 2 relies on a very sophisticated physics system that influences everything from your positioning, your attacks, and even your recovery times. Much like the first game, the idea is that you want to attack monsters' weak spots in order to disorient them. Attacking weak points does do a lot of damage, but the main point of fighting monsters isn't really just to deal enough damage until they drop. What you want to do is deal enough knockdown damage to a monster so that they collapse. This is where you can deal as much damage as you want, with larger monsters requiring more knockdown in order to go prone. The thrill of the fight isn't just smashing the attack button until the monster dies, it's climbing in order to get to those weak spots. Every battle feels like you're conquering a mountain, and I don't think I was ever in a position where I felt like the monster fights were unfair. Aside from one, dragons. Hurts to say this, but dragons in Dragon's Dogma 2 are the weakest element of the entire game. And I don't say this lightly. If you've had fun fighting the drakes and lesser dragons, good for you. Lesser dragons are a lot more fun to fight than drakes, but drakes are the most frustrating part of this game's combat. It's not because these fights aren't fun, because they are. The problem is that they are really fun, until they aren't anymore. Drakes have a very diverse set of abilities compared to most other monsters, and one ability, in my opinion, completely ruins most drake encounters in the game. You'll be fighting a drake, you're having the time of your life, and then you see this. This is a meteorite attack, and if not dodged correctly, can insta-kill you if you are below level 40. But Zenny, why don't you just dodge the attack? And this is why I respect you so much. You're incredibly smart. The problem isn't that you can't dodge the attack, it's that your pawns refuse to. Going into a drake fight below level 40 has you heavily relying on your pawns to heal you, stagger the drake, or even just to be a distraction to it. The simple fact that you can be fighting a drake for 10 minutes and nothing has gone wrong, only for one attack to wipe you and your entire party, is a serious bouncing issue. The Drake's difficulty spikes so rapidly that for most players who aren't playing a ranged character, you're kind of just screwed. What's worse is when the Drake is flying whilst doing this attack. You're meant to climb up the Drake's tail in order to do enough knockdown damage for it to fall out of the sky. But by the time you've halfway climbed the dragon, before you've even made it to the dragon's weak spot, it's already started charging up its next meteorite attack. And if the meteorite doesn't kill you, the fall damage will. The only real way to prevent your pawns from getting wiped is to call them to your side, which barely works, be a mythic spear who can summon shields, or have pawns high enough level to just tank the damage. For some classes, drakes are an easy fight. Archers and thieves melt dragons, as they either keep themselves at a safe distance or apply so much knockdown that the dragons don't get a chance to ever catch their footing. And it's a damn shame, because the second you are of high enough level to survive being one-shot got from the meteorite, it's just over for the drakes, and they will never be a threat to you again. The simple fact that one ability is the one thing making the drakes hard is disappointing. I want drakes to be hard. What I don't want is them to be unfair. And one ability having that much power over the fun and flow of a fight just isn't how you should be designing your boss fights. And for those who hate me now for not liking this dragon in Dragon's Dogma, wait till you hear my thoughts on the final boss of the game. But for now, let's cleanse the palate. Here's a clip of me getting stun locked into dying by the meteorite. I fucking love this game. Man, that was really unlucky. Maybe I'll be able to beat the Drake this time. Yeah. So here's the thing about that. While the game can be very punishing at times, the thrill of these boss fights is to jump back on the horse and try again. But the game has a really good health system that the devs just randomly decide to fuck you with. The game's boss fights, while mostly not being too hard in of themselves, only end up being difficult as you keep getting hit. What I mean is, you take damage twice, once to your actual health and once to your health bar. A boss fight might not be particularly hard, as you're able to heal and some attacks might only take a third of your health bar. But as the boss fight goes on, your max health gets lower and lower to the point that eventually that attack that only took a third of your health bar is no longer just an inconvenience, it's a death sentence. I really like this system. It puts you in a position where if you drag out a fight for too long, even if the monster isn't dealing that much damage, the boss is going to get harder and harder as you fight. It's awesome. What isn't awesome is this mechanic carries over to respawns. If I go into a fight, let's say a Drake, and the boss is too hard and it kills me, I can just respawn to the save that the game just made before I attacked the dragon. The game will give you back the items you used during that fight too. What it won't do, for some reason, is give you the amount of health that you had before the fight. For every time you fail to beat a boss, the game takes away 10% of your max health bar. Man, that Drake fight was really hard. I can't wait for it to be even harder. What you're meant to do in order to remedy this lack of health is to rest at a campsite, which in this circumstance is beyond annoying. Not only are you being punished for wanting to beat a boss that keeps rocking your shit, but now you're forced into having to hunt down a campsite. And remember, there is no fast travel. So if you lose to the Drake 4 times in a row and you choose not to camp, you're gonna be fighting at 60% capacity. Like I said before, bosses become harder the longer you fight them. So the game making you weaker before a fight just isn't viable. It's not hard to walk to a camp. It's not hard to sleep. What it is time consuming. Instead of being able to fight a fun boss on repeat until you get to that hard-earned victory, you're put in a situation where for failing to beat a boss, you are punished. You go walk to a camp, you sleep, and you come back. Depending on where the campsites are, this whole process can take up to 15 minutes. Longer if while camping you get ambushed, which destroys your camp backpack, meaning you have to walk to a city, buy a new one, and walk all the way back. Or the game could just, you know, respawn you with full health, and you can enjoy the video game. The health system is an incentive to go sleep after a long day of adventuring. You can literally see how much you've been up to looking at your health bar. That's cool. I like that. What isn't cool though is being punished for having fun. Oh, and before I forget, whilst we're on the subject of pawns dying to drakes, why aren't pawns so brain dead? Credit where it's due. The pawn AI, for the most part, is fantastic. AI will learn how to fight specifically from watching how you fight, and will evolve and adapt playstyles to better suit how the Arisen wants to take out particular monsters. I don't know if I've got footage of it, but if you fall off the back of a drake or a griffin, there is a chance that a pawn is going to catch you to save your life. Pawns are also designed in a way that other players using other people's pawns teaches those pawns how quests quests can be navigated. If you've hired a pawn who has already done the quest that you are on, they will ask your permission to help you finding what you need for that quest. Some quests are specifically designed to have no waypoints whatsoever. The only way for players to complete these missions is to have players who did manage to complete the quest share how they completed the quest with pawns so that those pawns can come back to your world and share that knowledge. Quest knowledge is like a virus that spreads through the entire community. Where pawns fail, however, is tracking. When it comes to attacks and environments, pawns have the same amount of brain cells as a wet sock. If an enemy is charging up an attack, the pawns open their mouth and go, waiter, more meteors please. And for environments, if you traverse terrain in a manner that could do even a single point of damage, pawns cannot compute that and will just bug themselves out into running back and forth. Whee! If traversal requires taking damage, pawns will refuse to follow you, which results in me fighting a griffin all by myself whilst my pawns are right there. I'm not going to say that the pawn system is crap, because it's not. But if I'm going to have companions join me on my adventure, I would prefer that I didn't have to be a licensed doctor every 5 minutes or be a mother shaking her keys in order to get their attention. But you want to know who my best companions are? It's you guys. For those that are new here, my last 2 videos have exploded in popularity, and due to this influx of people, I've had the privilege of making my content even more special. If you've been enjoying this video or any of the animation work, please do consider pledging to the Patreon. Or you can buy the all-new Zenny merch from the Zenny/Algorithm merch store. From now on, to fund my silly little animations, every video will be dropping a new design. Every dollar that you guys spend on the merch goes towards paying concept artists, voice actors, asset packs, music and sound effects subscriptions, and so much more. Please go buy something. It definitely helps the channel out.
We even sell mugs that are completely indestructible. Watch!
99% indestructible. The ad is over. For those who have been keeping up with my little shenanigans, you would have noticed that things have been pretty difficult lately. I've been attacked by giant machines, threatened into serving a being that I haven't even met yet, and having my whole world just turn out to be a lie. I feel like my only choice here is to just sit around and just wait for what comes next, you know? Or remember that upgrade I told you guys about?
The sky so far away tonight, but I can't lose this one. Got a pride of a falling night. Thought that I was fit to fight for us to be. You gave me life and loving me. Tell me where did we go so wrong?
The story of Dragon's Dogma 2 is surprisingly simple when you remove all the excess rubbish. A dragon has bestowed a destiny onto you. Slay him and you will bring peace to the lands and also become its ruler. The dragon wants to fight you. Get ready. A concept so simple, yet mind-shatteringly cool. What's more mind-shattering, though, is how the game somehow takes the coolest concept known to man and bogs it down with a story so boring that I almost chose not to talk about the story in this video. Like I said in the opening segment of this video, the game chooses to divulge all the thrilling details behind the conspiracy against you up front, which, if this was meant to remove all of the lame political shit from the game, would have been pretty neato. But the game doesn't choose to remove the bloat and jump into the juicy part of the game. Instead, it removes the bloat and proceeds to eat a barrel of grease. The first half of this story is you on repeat sneaking into the castle to either eavesdrop, steal something, or break people out of prison. What results from this is you finding out the same shit that you were already told by Captain Brand the second you arrived in the city. There is, however, a quest where you've been invited to the coronation of the fake Arisen. Ignoring the weird logic why the Queen would even invite you, you plan to walk in and declare the Arisen a fake and take back your throne. But the day before you're given this quest, you're spoken to by a guard who hands you a special sword. This is a regalia sword, a ceremonial sword wielded by the Arisen. The guard explains that if you were able to restore this sword and have it by your side, it would do wonders for convincing the people that you are the true Arisen.
Captain Brandt is of a mind to restore it, so that it might serve as a symbol of your authority, Sir Arisen. Indeed, when the time comes for you to announce your ascension, having this sword at your hip would doubtless elevate your standing in the eyes of the people.
The only catch here is to restore it, you need to travel to Batal, a city whose lands are locked away from you and will not allow you entry unless you have a permit. The permit is an item which only becomes available to you after you complete the coronation quest. Now here's where the game has offered you a fascinating choice. It's been explained that the regalia sword is an item that will help your image when trying to take back the throne. You are about to do a quest where you take back your throne. But what happens if I restore this sword and then go to the coronation with the sword equipped? Batal can be accessed by going through the mountains and avoiding the main gate entirely. You'll fight dragons, bandits, griffins, and by the time you get to the blacksmith who can fix the sword, you're thrown on a 4-hour quest line, which at the end restores the sword. After hours of bullshit, you were able to restore the sword. Such efforts will reward you during the coronation, right? Before I did the coronation quest, I headed to that guard to tell him I've completed the restoration of the sword. So I go and show him.
Give my thanks to the blacksmith who repaired it. 'Tis fine work she has done. Impeccable, I should say. And you, Sir Arisen, you have breathed life anew into one of our kingdom's most sacred treasures. I can imagine no worthier symbol of a sovereign's majesty. I await the day it shall adorn your noble hip with bated breath.
Wait. Where's he going? Hey, give me back the sword, asshole! I'm about to announce my ascension at the coronation. He said that when I do, this sword would help me.
When the time comes for you to announce your ascension, having this sword at your hip would doubtless elevate your standing in the eyes of the people.
Instead, you go to the coronation without the sword. And instead of a payoff to the fucking 12 total quests you've completed leading up to this moment where you will prove you are the true Arisen, your pawn has a sore tummy and you leave! We are now at the halfway point of this main storyline and nothing has happened yet. The regalia sword was a worthless array of fetch quests. The main storyline has been for nothing, and I am baffled at how a game about killing a dragon has managed to be boring.
We've been had.
You think? The sword meant nothing, the coronation meant nothing, and here we are. For the next half of the game, the new mission is to find out what the Godsway is. You are told by Captain Brandt that the Godsway is the necklace the false Arisen is wearing during the coronation that allows him to control pawns.
The false sovereign commanded the pawns at the coronation, proving his own power as Arisen. According to Regent King Sven, the pretender was wearing some sort of lavish necklace at the time. I imagine this artifact is the Godsway mentioned in that letter.
Why do I need to find out what the Godsway is? You just told me! After another 9 hours of the main quest line, after hours of investigation, you'll find out that the Godsway is an artifact that allows a person to control pawns. I already know that! Why is the game acting like this is a surprise? This is not new information! You told me this before the quest line! Game, what are you doing? The game shows you how the Godsway works. Brandt tells you how the Godsway works. And after hours of gaming, I now know how the Godsway works. The only new information you obtain after all of this is that a Godsway is a crystallized soul of a past Arisen. Cool. So why couldn't I have just walked up to him and taken the necklace off? The pawn can't walk up to him, but I sure can. You think a few pawns guarding him are going to stop me? I can do this.
And to prevent him from losing its temper, then we best fell it quickly, or else wait till the fury subsides. I did my best to match your skill, Master.
Just try and stop me. The conspiracy behind the Queen and this Godsway is that they want to overthrow the cycle of the dragon by taking control of the dragon itself using a Godsway. But the dragon isn't a pawn. Arguably, the dragon is closer to being the Arisen because the dragon shares a heart with you. And the Arisen cannot be controlled. I promise you, this game is good, okay? I'm telling you right now, as I'm losing my mind, to go buy the game if you have a PC that can run it. It's a good game, but this is not how you tell a story. After everything, it'll turn out that the conspiracy was for nothing and the dragon cannot be controlled. So was the main questline just filler in order to get me to the dragon?
You've doomed us all to the cycle.
Greetings, Arisen. Hast thou summoned the resolution to face me?
The dragon is summoned, and now you get to make a choice. The game has a cute affinity system where whoever you do the most quests for will end up being your love interest. I went on to romance Ulrika. I completed her questline, I brought her flowers every few days, I gave her a wedding ring, and we even boned a few times. When the dragon is summoned, he'll offer you a choice. You can try and kill him and conclude your destiny, or you can leave and sacrifice your love interest. Wait, hold on. Who is that? That is a character that I did one quest for. The game has a very low cap when it comes to affinity. If you complete an entire questline for a character, congratulations, you now have max affinity. Instead of the game picking the character that I've been blasting cocksnot into, it went with, I don't even know this guy's name.
This game is fucking with me so hard that I have actually lost my voice. This is not a bit. But what the fuck is this game? What the fuck is wrong with this game, dude? Why is the mythic spear guy? Why is he here?
I killed myself, found this stranger, murdered him a couple of times to lower the affinity, and here we go. Oh no, my real love interest is in the grasp of the dragon. Wait, why do I even care about this? I'm obviously going to fight the dragon.
Pitiable Arisen. The time for thou to make thy choice is come.
And this is where I'm going to make some people a bit mad. The Royce Dragon boss fight is bad. Okay, no, not bad. That's a poor choice of words. What I would say is that it's easy. Unlike the other dragons, the Royce Dragon is gigantic. And in making a boss so big, he struggles to position himself in a way that he can actually hit you. And to my surprise, he only has one phase to his boss fight. I fought this boss 3 times, and for 2 of them, he didn't even land a single hit on me. And believe me, I'm not good at this game. Here's a goblin kicking me to death. I ate shit! The Royce Dragon is, so cool. He only has like 500 words of dialogue in the entire game, and yet he'll end up being your favorite character. On your way to the arena, listening to him tell you that this fight is nothing personal and how the Rivers of Fate have deemed it so feels heartbreaking. The Royce Dragon is merely a tool Fate uses to find its next ruler. He is destined to die by your hand, and he tells you that he understands. I had a friend that made a really insightful observation that the final boss might actually be easy on purpose. The game makes you feel bad that he is locked into this cycle of violence. Killing him, despite his size, feels like a dog pile, and as he fades away, you kind of feel bad for him. But that friend is an idiot! Shut the fuck up, Pierce! I don't think it's a controversial opinion when I say that I want the climax of my game to be good. I'd sum this up as probably me being a little over-leveled, but the fact that he wasn't able to hit me in the first place, even when there is no dodge mechanic with invincibility frames in the game, is just kind of sad. Depending on your vocation, this fight might have ended up being the hardest thing you've experienced in the game, but if you are a melee character, this last boss fight is just a breeze. Congratulations, you finally earned your throne. The game ends and the credits roll and everyone lived happily ever after.
Why do you pursue me, Arisen? You have fulfilled your charge, are you not satisfied? Seek you greater status? Perhaps to rule the world entire? It is power you desire, you need merely spy out the path.
Choice is thine, Arisen. By thy will alone can the course of the winds of fate be altered.
You would still resist your fate. Understand you the folly of such a decision. Even the beating of your reclaimed heart was born of the great will of this world. Yet you would abandon it. Everything in this world, all that you have come to know as reality, is the creation of the great will. Should that will be lost, no mortal being could survive. However, if regret yet assails your spirit, then perhaps you should reaffirm your choice. Witness with your own eyes, or through the eyes of another, the fate of this world.
If you refuse your throne, the Watcher will throw you back into the cycle and force you into completing your destiny. If you keep trying to break your fate by talking to the Watcher, he will force you to fight the dragon on repeat for all eternity. But if you choose to kill yourself and refuse to doom this world to centuries more of this cycle of death, the game throws you into the end game. The world has 12 days to live. Kill all the bosses, fight back against Destiny itself, and you'll arrive at the true ending of the game. But only if you manage to evacuate all the friends and companions you've met in all the cities during your playthrough.
You've come. The Arisen comes.
The game even brings back the Royce Dragon as the final boss again. Oh, he's huge! Holy shit, is this why the first fight was so easy? Because this is the real dragon fight? Oh, that's so cool. It's a walking simulator. Okay. Also, every bad guy in this game is just gonna end up being forgiven and they'll turn out to be good guys. But are we just gonna forget that this woman sold me into slavery? If you've played this game, you know I'm skipping over some really cool stuff this game has to offer. And it's for a reason. I'm not going to talk about the end game because this is where the game is at its best. And I want those who are on the fence about buying this game to go buy it and enjoy this for themselves. If you've been watching this video, allow me to make this clear. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a very good game. Despite my complaints, this is the most fun I've had with a game in this year of 2024. If you've heard bad things about the microtransactions, ignore it. The microtransactions are thrown on top of the game by Capcom and have no impact on the game itself. The devs didn't want them. If you've heard bad things about the fast travel, just know the game means well. And if you've heard me complain about the story this whole time, yeah, you should probably listen to me. But the combat is good. Killing monsters makes brain go wee, and if you like killing monsters, leveling up, and exploring fantasy worlds, Dragon's Dogma 2 is so worth it. But fuck me, that story sucks balls. A big thank you to my patrons on Patreon, but an even bigger thank you to Papa Sun, The Lonely Shepherd, Astral Phoenix, Fancy Feet with 3s instead of E's, Opossum Supremacist, The Superstorm 49, and Coffee.pot.cat. Thank you guys all so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.